A top story this hour. Normia Ndlovu, on trial for multiple murders, has been accused of being evasive and contradicting herself while testifying. The former constable is standing trial for the murder of 6 people, including 5 family members. She's also allegedly planned to kill another 7 family members so she could cash in on insurance policies. Ndlovu is currently being cross-examined. She was arrested during an undercover police sting operation on the 7th of March 2018. An alleged hitman had informed police of her plans to have her sister Joyce and her young children burnt alive. Ndlovu, a former Tembisa police officer, insists she's innocent of all of these charges.
Your sister, she even went further. And she explained that you requested her assistance and help because your mother didn't wish you to be well, not to be married or to have a husband.
The mother of the alleged mastermind behind the killings of 6 people for their funeral and life policies contradicted her daughter in court. Maria Mushwana disputed Ndlovu's earlier testimony when she took to the stand on Thursday in the Gauteng High Court sitting in Palm Ridge. Ndlovu told the court on Wednesday that on the 22nd of January 2018 she travelled with Mashero from Gauteng to Bushbuck Ridge. Tania Steyn is a body language expert. She joins us now to talk about the trial and what she's observed. A very good evening to you, and thank you so much for speaking to us, Tania. So, first of all, she was stoic and defiant until the name Maurice Mabaso was mentioned. She then broke down. The late Maurice, we know, was Normia's boyfriend, and they lived together. How do you know if these kinds of episodes, the tears, are sincere?
So, very interesting question. Thank you for having me on. Micro expressions are the expressions we have on our face. And when you know how to read them, sadness is the most difficult expression to fake. So what I analyzed with her is she had a couple of seconds of real sadness. So the sadness could have been aimed at herself or Maurice, but Normia loves attention, and the minute the judge gave her attention or empathy or respect towards her being sad, the real sadness turned into fake sadness. Now, I'm fortunate enough to be able to slow it down real slow, and you can clearly see that the fake sadness is there. There's
what
no
is the
real
distinctions
sadness.
When you talk about those?
So when we are sad, our mouth corners droop down, your eyes droop down, you sort of have this, eyebrows go into each other. There's a real distinct look to sadness. Think of a little child, the little lip pouts. There's a real distinct sadness. You cannot fake it. And if you would actually go and actually look at it in slow motion, you'll see there's none of that. Women can cry easily, so it's easy to cry. And once she realized that, she milked that situation of crying for a long time. If you have to tell someone that I'm going to be emotional every time we talk about Maurice, this is just how it's going to be. After 5 years, it's not normal human behavior. Normally, when we are sad about someone, we just cry. We don't actually have to tell people, and that's what we find liars do. So with body language, and I teach human lie detection, the red flags are there all over her body. I can see it so clearly. And she shows me, wonderful for me, bad for her, a lot of lying red flags. Normally when I teach, I say we don't look just for one cue. We look for a cluster, and Normia shows quite a few.
So tell us about the combination of a cluster that is a dead ringer for that. Her lips, for instance, were pursed and her eyes were downcast most of the time. So are these telltale signs, as a body language expert, of contrition or indifference?
So let me explain to you. Lip pursing is a sign of withholding. When we lie, our brain gets overloaded. There's 14 more active regions during lying than truth-telling. So our brain tries to protect us, and it doesn't want to lie. It doesn't want to get us into trouble. So the brain becomes overloaded, and Normia has to remember so many things. So what happens? The body starts leaking, and that's what we look for in human lie detection. So it happens at an unconscious level. She doesn't even know it's happening to her. So the lip pursing is a true sign of withholding. She's trying to, it's almost like the brain is saying, stop talking, don't say these things. The closing of her eyes, it's a sign of blocking. We call it an eye block. It's a behavior that we sort of want to put a barrier between ourselves and the lie or the punishment that's coming. You know, she does this rocking. I don't know if you've noticed, she does this rocking when she's talking. It's a self-soothing behavior when she's nervous and she sort of trying to calm herself. She does a lot of mouth moves, you know. In lie detection, that's quite a dead giveaway. She presses her mouth and she uses a lot of facial expressions, which is not normal human behavior. A person that's not lying doesn't have to do all these things.
So, Tania, we're taught that, and I've heard this on many occasions, whether it's psychological books, etc., but they say there's the creative part of your brain and there's a rational part of your brain, and that often where your eyes look is indicative of which part of the brain you're trying to access. Did you see any of this?
Not necessarily. The eyes, look, the research on eyes is not conclusive in saying if I look left, I'm lying, or if I look right, I'm lying. You first have to determine where the person's baseline is. So it's really hard to actually say that's it, she's lying or she's not.
Okay.
So the baseline for the eyes is a difficult thing to look at.
Okay. I want to talk about some of the contradictions that we saw. For instance, she was so different in court from the person who had, for instance, joked with the press at some point and had even flashed, we understand, reporters through chips in them. And now, as you mentioned, at some point she's breaking down, crying. What happened there?
The first day was a lot of bravado. Standing in the power pose is a lot of arrogance, a lot of defiance, and she loved the limelight. She loved the idea that the focus was on her. So she played. This is what I say. She loves, the minute she sees attention on her, she plays to it. The second day, when she saw the attention with the crying, I think it's the third day, I'm sorry, she played it, you know, as soon as the judge, and he's a wonderful, respectful man. The minute he sees she's getting the attention she wants, she plays to it. Then she started feeling sick. She plays on that. She's a master manipulator, you know, but she's not a very good liar in terms of when you understand how human lie detection works. She's not a good liar at all. She's trying to manipulate. She's evasive. She's, she doesn't answer the question. She always tries to blame everybody else. She doesn't take any responsibility.
Now,
there's something that
Go ahead.
There's something that I've seen with her, and it's something that's it's not very common in lie detection, but it's a serious red flag that I've noticed from her. We in body language, we call it, in human lie detection, we call it duping delight. So, you know, if let's say a child takes the cookie and you ask, did you take the last cookie? They sort of have this little smirk, little smile. No. She has a duping delight smile on her face and I've seen it a couple of times, when they ask her about the life insurance policies that she took out on other people's lives, when they asked, she was blaming the advocates today, you know, when the prosecutor would say, so you're blaming the other advocates, she sort of smirks, she bites her lips, but her eyes are laughing. Now that's a serious problem to me. That means she actually has no remorse of anything. And it's almost like they are enjoying the fact that they are actually putting one up on anybody else. Now, in her mind, she thinks she's the smartest person in that room.
It's such a pity we've run out of time. But thank you so much for your time, Tania Steyn, body language expert.